Meeting of the body. Please turn off your phone. Ooh, wow. Please turn off. Well, I wasn't anticipating that. Please turn off your phones and put them on vibrate or put them on vibrate. And then once you've done that, stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilor Murray.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
Councilor Alsobrook,
Also here.
a masked man. Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Woolman.
Here.
Councilor Mira.
Present.
Annabelle. She's here.
Final.
Annabelle, we're going to miss you.
And the hair.
We've become accustomed to your presence.
I hope so.
Yeah. And your hairdos.
Yeah.
We like those. So guys, I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. At this point in time, we have a presentation planned. We're going to do a staff recognition of Anthony Martinez, who has
Who?
worked for the village for 34 years.
Wow.
Do any of those young men over there that work with you ever say things like, gee, I wasn't born then?
All of them.
Yeah, I get that too.
Oh.
So Melanie, are you going to do this?
I am, so.
Okay.
So Deputy Chief Latin was going to come and talk about our amazing fire chief and his 34 years of service. But I think she said she had, is it weasels in the roof? There were weasels in the roof she's dealing with. So I don't know if that's a code for like bats in the belfry.
Feels like a code.
But we can thank Sky for that one. That was her question. Is that the same as bats in the belfry? So anyway, Chief Anthony has been with the village for 34 years. And so we have this amazing, what would you call this? Statue, Crystal Award for your years of service. So Chief Anthony first found out about Corrales Fire by helping deliver holiday food baskets, which is still part of Corrales Fire's community activities. As soon as he turned 16, his volunteer application was turned in. He was a dedicated volunteer and took his EMT basics classes and firefighting classes, and in 1997 became an EMT intermediate. When not at school or work, he was at the station learning the equipment, running the trucks, and running 911 calls. He was one of the only people who could drive and operate the 1965 Mack fire engine that was part of Corrales' fleet until the early 2000s. During his volunteer time, he held several officer rank positions. In November of 1996, there was an opening for the only paid position, and he was hired to work Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. During his time as a paid firefighter, he was promoted to commander. In July of 2003, he became the first paid chief of Corrales Fire and has not looked back. He has the same drive and determination as when he was 16. He has expanded the department with the help of administration and council to better meet the needs of the community, to having a 24/7 EMS and fire coverage. He has dedicated staff that have worked hard to gain technical rescue skills. He saw a need for large animal rescue operations and put a team together and secured equipment. He worked hard to get water tanks and fire pumps to start running fire protection lines in Corrales. With these efforts, he was able to lower the village's insurance services rating from a 9 to a 4Y. He works with community groups like the Corrales Bosque Advisory Commission and attends and participates in village activities, even dressing as the Mandalorian for the pet parade. As chief, he leads his crew, but never asks them to do something he would not do himself. If there are 6 staff members, he will cover the shift and run the calls. He goes to structure fires, and on weekends in the summer, when the rivers are running, you will find him out with his crew ready to respond and provide rescue. And they were out there last night, I believe, too. If there is a community Bosque cleanup event or a fire department Bosque cleaning event, he is out there working. He supported and allowed the vaccination efforts to be performed by his staff and participated in almost every one of them. He has an open door for citizens and staff alike. We are honored, and his staff is honored, to have him as chief. But there are calls going on right now, and he is here without them. So thank you for all your hard work, Chief. Greetings for you as well. Safety works.
Thank you, Melanie. Mayor, council, can you hear me?
Yes,
I know what you're thinking, you know. I
just
must have
34
started it
more
out
years.
Working here when I was 5, but I know you're doing the math. But like Melanie said, I started out here at 16 and haven't left. I grew up here. I'm honored to work for the Village of Corrales. I may not live in the Village of Corrales, but I do call myself a resident. I think I've been here long enough. I hang my hat at the fire station.
yes.
The one thing I try to teach my staff is being persistent, right? Things don't happen overnight. They don't happen, in a year. And I think that goes to show that, before I became chief, I was just trying to fulfill some of their duties, right? Their visions of water tanks and hydrants and some of this infrastructure that we are currently working on that you support. And you hear me at every meeting talking about, I need more, I need more. But persistence has paid off because we are now, at the level of, just longevity, whether it's me or my other staff that have tenure in our department, because, they see the same vision. They see the need of the Corrales, and together we provide, that persistence to try to get the job done. So again, thank you for all the support. I'm very honored. Thank you for the award. Thank you.
Best, Chief. Anthony, thank you very much.
Mayor?
Just 34 more years.
Right. Mayor? Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just like to make a comment about the chief. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he was elected by his peers throughout the state as the fire chief of the year for the state of New Mexico. So we're very proud of that and for all the years since. So thank you very much for everything.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, we'll move on now to Mr. Curry. Not quite as exciting, but sometimes interesting.
I'll be brief.
Tanya,
I don't think she's on.
Well, she's chasing
yeah.
weasels.
that's right. She's chasing.
Weasels. I thought you said measles.
Weasels in the attic.
We've been going through what seems to many people as a mundane exercise as far as our website goes. But it's one of the most key features as far as communicating with the people of Corrales. And we try to keep it up to date. And in the time that I've been here and that Melanie's been here, it's gone through substantial changes as it needs to. Any of you who spend a lot of time on certain websites, the key aspect of any website is communicating with the people who look at it. And also making it easier once you get into the website to keep as many windows or many clicks as possible down so that you can get to your answer as quick as possible. So Melanie has an update on what we're trying to do right now.
So I'm going to share my screen here so you can see our new and improved website. So we got an email from Civic Plus, who runs our website, about 2 months ago, saying that they needed to update the software that runs our website. So it took some time to do all the things behind the scenes, updating DNS records and all those things that I pretend like I know, but I just know the acronyms. And it took us a little while to find the company that was in charge of the library website, because if we didn't make changes to some of their records, it was going to break their website if we updated ours. So we finally tracked down those people. We made all of the changes. And last Friday, they said, okay, you don't make any more changes to the website after 5 o'clock today, and your new website will go live on Tuesday, the 23rd. So it went live this afternoon after being down for a little over an hour. And we're discovering that there's some things that did not make it as they had promised. So one of the things was this afternoon, Ron says, the agenda and council packet are not on the website for tonight's meeting. And I went, no, they told me if I had it on there by 5, it would be okay. And it wasn't. So we're still tracking down. There are some issues we've discovered. Not all of the P&Z meetings have made it over. So we need to work with them to make some of those updates. But as you can see, we have our lovely website here. And also one thing, we got an email from DFA last Friday that the New Mexico Foundation for Open Governments had just completed an audit of all websites of municipalities throughout the state.
Tell them what DFA is.
Department of Finance and Administration. So Corrales scored 41 out of 85 possible points. And when I looked at our sheet, I realized they didn't give us points for having a search bar, which our website has always had. And there were a few other things that they claimed we did not have that we really do. So I estimated that we actually should have a 50 out of 85, but I'm going to use some of their feedback from this audit to help make our website a little bit better. And they had some suggestions on how to make it more user-friendly. And with this update to the software, it does make it a little easier for us to access things. So one of the things that is really cool is here are village meetings. So down here at the very bottom, you can click on village meetings. What it does now is it starts on today's date. It used to be it would take you back about a month and you have to scroll down to find the meeting for today. And so you can see here, it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit easier to tell where the agenda is, to download where the agenda packet is. If you go into view details, here's the Zoom link. And then off on the left here are the next couple of upcoming meetings. And then the attachments are also down here as well. If you go back here to recent meetings, this shows you meetings that have already been completed. And this is one of my favorite things since we record these meetings. If you look here, here's our April 9th meeting. And I've been doing this for months now. I link the Zoom recording to the actual meeting on the website, but it was really hard to find previously. So now it's right here. You click on that and it takes you right to the meeting recording on Zoom.
Wow.
So hopefully this will be, once we get everything back on, we've discovered a lot of our forms are the old forms that we had updated and they now have wrong email addresses and things like that. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll be working with department heads to make sure that all of this is up to date. But some of the things like I discovered here, I had a tab for the multi-use facility and it had all of the meetings and things. And here now it says that the link is broken. So things like this I need to fix. And if there are residents that discover things that they feel are broken, please feel free to email me. And that helps me to be able to pinpoint what needs to be fixed. But yeah, I'm really excited about this and hopefully we'll have one of the better websites here very soon. So cool.
Great. Yes, sir, John.
Thank you, Melanie, and everybody else who worked on this. This is a nice improvement. I'm just curious, and I've had this thought for a while. A lot of other municipalities use the .gov domain, sort of a state or city.state.gov domain. And we've always had the .org domain for our web address. I'm just wondering if that was a conscious decision from long ago when the internet was invented, or if that was something that
we do own a .gov. And we've discussed with our IT contractor what it would take to migrate that over. And depending on who you ask, some of the people are like, oh yeah, that's simple. We can make that change, no problem. And then others are like, yeah, it's kind of a bigger deal, because you have to change everybody's email address and everything as well.
Yeah,
But we do own a .gov, the Corrales.gov domain.
we could
um,
probably just have that point to this site, says, yeah, we don't want to reorganize and move.
Yeah,
I agree with
and
you.
we've asked Systems MD to do that for us.
Great.
And apparently it breaks every so often, but yeah, I'll talk to them too and see if if they can make sure that it's working at this point in time.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? Okay, Mr. Curry.
So I'll just remind you of the upcoming budget workshop that we're going to be having on May 7th. We continue to press numbers around, including what Counselor Bowman was talking about as far as gross receipts at our last meeting. So I'll just give you a little update on our gross receipts so far this year compared to last year. Through March, which well, actually through February, which was reported in April, because there's always a 2-month delay for Department of Finance and Administration. We were showing 300, well, for the month of February, we had $386,769, which gives us a total for the year through February of $4,143,765. Our total gross receipts for FY23 were $4,862,216. So that was through the entire fiscal year. And or through reporting through April. So we always have a delay. As Councilor Mira knows for sure, we always have anywhere between a 1 to 2 month delay. But it looks like right now we're going to have an excess. We're going to be over FY24 by several $100,000 at this point. And I can't give you a better number than that just because of the delay that we're all familiar with from the Department of Finance Administration. And they still don't break it down as far as where they're coming from as businesses. And for a number of reasons that are unclear to me, but that's where we are. But the outlook as far as being ahead on our gross receipts tax looks optimistic. And that's based on the fact that we have a number of businesses that are opening or have been opened. And then that does not include our franchise taxes, which come in through the internet. For those of you who do a lot of shopping on Amazon. And so we anticipate that too will they also run behind a little bit. Our property taxes, most of them come in June. As you know, as residents, we pay our property taxes in May, or they're taken out in May and they're reported out in June. And we anticipate they will come forward as well. The county has the ability to increase our property taxes 3% a year, just because they're the county and they have that authority given to them by the legislature. So short answer, it's up optimistically, but not by a large amount.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Ron. Ron, is there just a ballpark figure how much we get for internet sales on an annual basis? Break that down at all? And I don't need it right away if you don't have it. I'm just curious.
It's something between 300 and $500,000, 300,000 to $500,000.
Really? Oh. Thank you. Yeah.
And then just the one last thing, Mayor, that I would report on is, well, two last things. We had today, just for your information, we had an all hands meeting. We had all of our staff in this room today. We had over 50 folks here. We had fire department folks, first responders, police department. And it was a training session that we conducted on behalf of our employees. And we had our lobbyist, Larry Horan, here to talk about the legislative process and how the ideas that begin oftentimes with our staff people as far as what they need and want to make this village better, and how that comes up and goes through the administration and goes to the governing body and then up to Santa Fe and gets into that mix and then comes back down in the form of dollars and how it needs to be obligated and spent in a certain period of time so we don't lose that money. So we thought it was important to have Larry here to explain to our folks how things get done. And also, he'll be back in front of this body sometime in the future, probably the near future, to talk about one of the questions that came up was to compare the governing body here to the legislature. And he said, the governing body here is a polite, rather congenial folks who are getting things done compared to the legislature, who oftentimes ends up in a food fight and how they begin pushing elbows. He said he spoke especially of the new legislators because we certainly will have at least one new legislator this session, and how people come up there and for the first 2 weeks they're friendly and then they begin fighting with themselves within whatever body they're in, and then they become fighting over policy issues when they come up, and then the Senate begins fighting with the House and House begins fighting with the Senate, and which makes the governing body here look very efficient. And so we're trying to impress on everyone how all that process takes place, and at the same time talking about when, and I know this issue has come up in front of the governing body here, when we talk about, we've gone through the capital outlay process and you have made your priorities known. And then at the last moment, a legislator will call the mayor or me or somebody and say, gee, we've got $300,000 and we don't know what to do with it. And in the back of that mind of any particular legislator, they may be thinking, I know what I want to do with it for whatever reason, whether it's a photo op or for something that's a pet project. And so a decision is made either here or by that particular legislator that is not necessarily what the governing body considers a priority. And so we tried to just explain that process as much as we could, and then ate a bunch of pizza. So, which helped to ease the pain. And so we had that meeting and I think it was very good. And the last thing that I'd like to mention, as we do often, is the LGIP gained another at the rate of 5.32 current yield interest rate on the corpus last month for $16,070, bringing the LGIP up to $3,815,000.
Okay, so before we move to Corleone's Forum, I'd like to recognize Kathleen Cates. And she is our representative for this area. And if Catherine is still here, there she is. She's out there with Chief. She is our county commissioner.
Mayor,
I really appreciate them being here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask some questions before we move on to the Corleone Forum, if I could.
Sure.
Mr.
You will
Mayor,
have an opportunity to speak, go ahead. Sure.
Okay. I want to ask our lawyer, when we submit an RFP or the village submits an RFP, can council look at the submission results before we vote on a contract?
Mr. Mayor, Counselor, you mean grade them?
Yeah, if the administration has graded the RFP submissions, can council look at those graded results before a contract is submitted to council?
As the council, I don't see any reason why not. You just don't want to get too far down into the weeds and assume the staff's job.
So my understanding is that there, and Melanie, you just come back from a training. My understanding is a group, unbiased group is chosen from our administration, the staff, to look at to go through the RFP and give points for various parts of addressing the RFP. And then they make the suggestion. The idea being that you're going to be voting on who's doing it, and perhaps you should not be directly involved at that part of the decision. So Melanie, am I close?
According to the state's RFP handbook, we cannot release that information as public information to anybody outside of the team that is choosing the RFP until that contract has been or the recommendation has been made to council.
Well, what I'm worried about is if we get a contract before us, how do we know from the RFP submissions who's the best of the lot? I mean, I would kind of like to know who was submitted, but I mean, we could do this in closed session too, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm concerned that we're violating the procurement rules for the state of New Mexico, and I would rather us not get into any difficulty.
Okay, so this is from Mr. Curry. I saw from the most recent Tree Preservation Committee draft minutes that Amy Bell is working on construction drawings for the parking lot. So my understanding is it's the original design. And I was wondering, was there any collaboration as directed by us to the administration to modify that design?
Modifications were made based on the presentation that was made here.
Was there collaboration with the residents though?
Well, I didn't meet with him and I don't, with them, and I don't think that she did either.
Well,
But you may,
I think, Mayor, there was a conversation that was held with her, but I could double check,
Okay.
but she.
Well, so my concern is also that I read Ms. Romero's report and that the overall village plan is coming together in May, but I also heard by rumor, I don't know if this is true or not, that the person who was handling that has left Main Street. And so I'm just curious, is that overall plan still on track?
So Rhea Serna has left Main Street. She was only responsible for helping us with the portion of evaluating Wells Fargo and the uses for that. And she gave us her report already. So her involvement in the overall project was already complete. And she actually worked her schedule around her with taking her new job around finishing that project.
Okay.
So there, then New Mexico Main Street is going to take her recommendations and bring it into their overall report that they bring to council.
Okay, well, that does bring me to the last thing I want to talk about is that I think that this village needs an on-call architect. We've had at least two committees meet. We saw one proposal. We saw the second committee. They didn't have access to an architect. I think that we should have a on-call architect for the village, and therefore I would like to make a motion for the May 7th meeting that the administration inserted a budget item for an on-call New Mexico licensed architect with an annual budget of $60,000 that we talked about and discuss on the May 7th budget discussions. And if we approve that, that the administration issue a request for a proposal for an on-call.
okay, I don't believe you have to do all those things. You can simply say, I would like that be considered on the
Well-
budget, because it is not on the agenda and therefore there is no
Oh,
reason
but this
or
is for
rationale for you to make
This
a
is
motion.
future item, which is not impacting tonight. This is only for the
Okay,
May 7th meeting.
just be sure that you tell us that.
Yeah.
And you have, but I think your method of doing that was a little bit out of order,
Well, maybe.
but that's okay. This is Corrales.
Anyway.
It's okay. We'll keep it in mind and we'll certainly put it along with the other.
But I
What
have a
else? What
motion
else?
on the floor. I mean, is there a second or not?
I don't,
Yes, sir.
just a point of order. I'm not sure that's a legitimate motion to make it this time where
It's
we
not.
are in the agenda?
No,
Okay,
it's
all
not
right,
a legitimate motion. I said he didn't have to do that. All he has to do is tell me.
Gotcha.
And we will certainly look to put it on for discussion for the budget.
Okay, very
Okay?
good.
Just like any of you guys can. If you have something that's really pressing, you can tell us. And when the budget comes up for discussion, we can try to have figured out a way to insert it and where it can be funded. Because a lot of this has to do with whether or not there's any money.
Well, that's, I think that this is something that we really need for the village because we've got projects coming up.
Yeah.
And they're not shovel ready. If we had an on-call architect, then we could take it into the portion where it would be shovel ready.
Maybe. But we can certainly discuss that and try to look for a place.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So now we'll move on to, I'm sorry, Counselor Miera.
I don't know if you had your hand up for that. No, okay.
Okay, now,
Real quick, just two quick questions. Is that almost like K on our agenda? That's what we usually do, that we bring something up that we want to bring to your attention and you put it on the next agenda.
yes, sir.
Okay, that's the same kind of thing.
It may not be on the next
I
agenda,
know,
but
we're
we
talking
will
about
certainly have it on
future
there.
agenda.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Did
So that
somebody
was
else
easy.
want to say something?
that was an easy question on K, on that one, but I had another question, a little bit more. I was gonna bring this up, but since it's already on the topic.
Actually,
I
we're
made a
not.
motion.
We're not on the topic, but what is it you want to
Well,
bring
the
up?
Topic was that somebody was leaving from Main Street.
They're gone.
They're gone, right? Even worse. Okay, so I would like to pursue that one unless you want me to bring that up in counselor's forum.
Sure, you can do that.
Okay.
It's not
question-
something that we're going to debate or discuss.
No, just information. We had brought up a motion quite some time back that we wanted to have somebody, and Main Street was chosen, and I thought this person was the one who was chosen to coordinate all the building properties we had bought to see if they could work together. Is this the same person
This is
that is now gone?
This is the person who does the buildings part,
Okay, not what we're.
not all the
motion.
stuff that you wanted to get done.
Okay, so is that one still?
She's still working.
She's still working it. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, John.
Is Mr. Curry finished with his administrator's report now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Because that's where we were on the agenda.
Okay, we're going to move on to Corleone's Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion nor for debate. To inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session, there is a 3-minute time limit. Do you have somebody on the Corleone's Forum?
We have several.
Okay.
But first, I'd like to ask Representative Kathleen Cates to come up. And you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Melanie. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I did have several things. We have a constituent that brought something to my attention, and I'm going to do some follow-up, but I wanted to make everyone aware of it. As you know, here in Corrales and up and down the Bosque, there is an epidemic of mistletoe attacking native cottonwoods. This is an ecological disaster for homeowners and for public lands. Not only is it killing the cottonwoods that are already drought stressed, but it is placing a significant cost burden on homeowners for mitigation, removal, and replacement. Loss of habitat and loss of shade is having a negative impact on quality of life and quality of environment. This is not the one would call a slow motion disaster. This is happening in real time. Mistletoe is amazing at reproducing itself and doubles in more than size in a year. Just like to know, inform the counselor and the mayor that I have already sent in for the Department of Agriculture and to the Environmental Department to ask where their investments and how they want to pursue on this. I'm bringing it to your attention to see if there's something that the village may want to do. I want to commend the training today, the legislative training by Larry Horan. I hope that there is no one in this room that has more knowledge about the legislative financial process than Councilor Miera, and I hope that we used his expertise in that training as well. And I thank everybody for service, and I'm here also to help support other items on the agenda I am a supporter of MULAS being able to get what they need to get so they may serve Corrales. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Story White. Story, if you could state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, counselors and mayor. I'm Story White, 550 Sagebrush Drive. I'm with the Equestrian Advisory Commission. This is Janet. Claire, I knew that. Does she need to state her address too?
Are you all?
She's with.
Okay.
Let's do with the equestrian community. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I come up here to invite you. Viva Corrales is Sunday, as you guys probably already know. So Ride, Strides, and Giddy Up is happening, but also at Top Form, we've worked really hard. Champ and the Equestrian Advisory Committee has worked really hard to put on equestrian demos, children's activities for the day. There's going to be horses there for kids to pet and paint. We've made noodle ponies, or we have pool noodles so the kids can like glue on eyes and mane, and then they can do like gymkhana activities, little mini rodeos, horse demos. I'll be demoing at 11:30 if you want to come watch me and my horse Sunny to do working equitation or doma vaquera. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So we would love to have you guys. It's 10 to 3.
Really good.
In Top Form. So that's in addition to the Ride, Stripes, and Giddy Up. So you guys come too. Okay? That's all.
Well, thank you.
Patty, did you want to say anything separate?
Yeah, we'll go up next.
Okay,
It's
yep,
the
you're,
same
you're,
group.
you're next on the list.
Okay. Well, this is just the same group with Story and I. So Patty Flanagan, 1800 West La Entrada, from Champ. This is Jody Iron, 218 Ranchitos. And I need to upgrade these, so I'm gonna try to still read it on my phone, but I just wanted to extend some information that we have been getting a whole bunch of calls. Champ gets it from a lot of the equestrians and even now bicyclists and pedestrians, where they've been having a lot of, I wouldn't call it road rage, but they've been having a lot of problems. I've got one trainer of a horse that he said the car in West La Entrada went so quick that he hit his stirrup. The horse reared up,
Wow.
threw him off, and went back to the barn. With this said, we had a conversation today. We've had some conversations about all of the great events that we have in Corrales, what's going on. And Champ and CEAC are very adamant about the education of the safety for pedestrians, equestrians, and bicyclists. Therefore, one of the thoughts we had, which we hope that the village will incorporate all of our organizations, profit, nonprofit, private, any event that on any flyer or any media ad that you have, at the very bottom, we would make it mandatory that you just say, Village of Corrales requests you to be cautious, to stop, yield at all pedestrians, equestrians, and bicyclists. If we put it on every flyer that we have, at least it's something there for someone to read and put it in their mind. Think about it. So we think that was a good way to at least start a boost up for some education to be safe somewhere along the way. Anything? That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Miss Sabine Schurter. If you could also state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Sabine Schurter. I live on 47 Rincon. Today, I brought some music. So I hope it works. I have tried it out at home, but this is a big venue, so I'm not really sure. So we shall see. So what I'm going to play for you is live band music played at a business 3 properties over from us. We're close to the business district last Saturday. And this is just an example of what we have been listening through for the past 3 summers. I mean, this is the 3rd summer. So let me see. So this was recorded with this little microphone here at my office window. I have a home office. I have to work on weekends, and that's what I sometimes listen to, trying to work, which doesn't work very well. This is just one example. I have more. I won't take too much of your time. So you hear the little cricket chirping. That's a nice sound. The music kind of gets tedious after a while. So we're listening to this anytime 2 to 4 hours performance. Sometimes there's 2 performances per day, and we have it 3 to 5 times a week. This summer will be much worse. I was told by the owner, we have it coming towards us. That's what he told me. So, and towards the end, oops, another one. This is what it sounds like if we don't have music. It's just quiet. And that's facing Corrales Road. You hear the cicadas or the crickets, and that's about it. So all I want to say is, first of all, I would like to thank the Corrales Police for helping or trying to help us to resolve this. My equipment is not that great, but I can assure you it is very loud. It's very disturbing. It's not Corrales as far as I can tell. And the issue is at the moment under judicial review. Actually, we had it much louder than this. At the moment, I guess they're a little bit more careful. It doesn't seem to be a lot though. And loud disturbing music along Corrales Road has become an issue. That
Thank you,
really
Sabine.
should be
That's your time if you want to
addressed.
wrap it up.
So please maintain the quality of life for all the residents, no matter where they live. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Mr. Rick Toller. If you can state your name and address for the record, you will also have 3 minutes.
Hello, Rick Toller, 483 Hanson Road, Corrales. Going on 50 years. We've been talking about the speeding problem on West La Entrada, and I'd like to thank the Champ folks for inadvertently perhaps backing us up. You heard what she just said. The guy was going by her so fast that he clipped her stirrup, or this rider. We started almost a year and a half ago talking to the mayor, but found that the mayor had very little interest in the problem we saw on West La Entrada and the other east-west streets in the village. We've taken our concerns to the council, had repeated meetings with all the councilors, but it's been the same story for the past 16 months, 18 months. The administration just shows no interest. We need to put traffic calming measures in place on West La Entrada and the other problem streets in the village before, not after, someone gets grievously injured or killed on a horse, on a bicycle, or on foot. Every proposal we've advanced has met with resistance by the administration. The mayor has used a medical metaphor in the past to say that we should not do anything about the problem about treating the problem until we have data about the problem. And then the mayor has publicly distorted the limited data that we do have and thrown up bureaucratic hurdles to getting the data we need. Tonight, in spite of those bureaucratic hurdles, you finally have a proposal in front of you to do a traffic study on West La Entrada. It's a simple up and down motion to get real data and professionally generated recommendations for traffic calming. These studies used to be more focused on moving traffic more swiftly, mostly focused, but in recent years, they've become multimodal, with bicycle, pedestrian, and equestrian safety being of equal weight. And in my opinion, they should be of greater weight on the village streets. I urge you to vote yes on Councilor Murray's motion, get this study done, act on its recommendations, and move to the next problem road. It's important that the study be set up to emphasize safety versus speed and ease of traffic. We are not, we are humans, we are not cars. So I urge you to vote yes, and I hope that in the discussion of the motion, I signed up to talk in that, and I hope that it can be an interactive rather than just a say your piece and sit down, because the village, the citizens of the village need to be able to put input into that discussion when you are discussing it. Thank you very much.
And our last speaker this evening is Mr. Garrett Allen. And if you could also state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
Name Garrett Allen and address 227 West Lot in Entrada. Can you guys hear me okay? Welcome back. Feel like I might be elevating my status to Corrales Greatest Hits. I've been speaking about speeding to the village longer than Sabina has been talking about sound pollution. Previously, months prior, there was a pretty heavy police presence on West Lawn Entrada to address this very issue. I couldn't keep coming to meetings because of soccer practice and other commitments. And since I've stopped coming to the meetings, the police presence has vanished. So I'm now returning again while my team practices. I'm the assistant coach and I'm not there tonight. To attend here means that my team hangs loose. But I think it's worth it given the greater priority of addressing this issue. I've overheard previously that there was a notion of desire to not want to punish the good drivers by lowering the speed limit on various village roads. But it's worth pointing out that to avoid punishing the good drivers, to ask yourselves, who then is being punished? And I believe it's the families that want to have and exercise the right to walk with safety to our wonderful village library, or to the ditch, to their friends or family's house, or to walk to soccer practice. And as long as the village drags feet or comes up with excuses or otherwise shows no will to address this issue and resolve it, I'll keep coming to the meetings. You'll keep hearing from us and other constituents to try and impress to you that even if you don't see it, this is a very real issue and it must be fixed, to put it quite simply. I do want to thank the mayor. Recently, I've seen you out on foot frequently, and I do think that in spite of everybody's talk and rhetoric, there's nothing quite better than getting boots on the ground. And you log, no doubt, a lot of miles seeing things from outside of a car, outside of a vehicle. And I don't.
Outside of an office.
Yeah, outside of an office. And so I see that and I appreciate that. It gives you a perspective that I think is very valuable. And hopefully, by sharing those perspectives, we can reach a consensus and get something done before a rider is thrown from a horse runs into traffic. I mean, imagine the blowout in the media for that. Horse crosses Corrales Road and runs into another motorist. Here we are.
Thank you. That's your time.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. That's everybody.
Yes.
Counselors Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Counselor Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I had a conversation with Sabine and she talked about how the noise coming from some of the businesses on Corrales Road has really impacted her. So I think I'm going to get together with Melanie and look over our noise ordinance. And, you know, we don't want to punish or impede the businesses along the commercial area, but we don't want to, you know, we want to keep Corrales the way it is, as we talked about, Sabine. But so maybe if we kind of update the noise ordinance, that may help a little bit. Although as Melanie said when she went to her meeting, that lots of municipalities are having the same issues. That, you know, businesses want to have bands and help promote their restaurants and bars, and it's kind of going all over the state. So, you know, maybe we can look at it, maybe we can get some things that absorb the sound a little bit more, maybe in some of the restaurants, something, just to kind of review it and see what's out there right now.
Counselor Alsobrook.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a follow up to Counselor Knight. Some time ago now, well, Boxing Bear has now left their location, but some time ago that was an issue for Boxing Bear, and they were at first reluctant, but then became reasonably diligent partners in reducing noise for the neighborhood behind them, trying different measures, seeing what worked and what didn't work. That might be a good model for us to start with, if anyone can remember it besides me.
Counselor Murray.
Thank you. So to add on to Counselor Knight and Counselor Alsobrook, also had a conversation with Sabine as well. And the way our ordinances are right now, no amplified music is allowed within the village. And Saturday night, there was a wedding or something on Corrales Road, just not too far from my house, and we could hear the music. And we've also been fighting Salt Yard West, which is over in the Albuquerque area. But again, if we're looking at modifying the noise ordinances, then that requires that we're going to have to purchase certain equipment and we're going to have to maintain certain standards. Albuquerque doesn't even follow their standards. They've got probably a pretty good ordinance in place, but they don't have the ability to follow up on late night activities, which Salt Yard West, which is really good at. And so consequently, if we do modify the noise ordinance, we need to be careful because it may require that we invest in equipment and we have to have trained people use it in order to bring these people in under a citation or something. So anyway, the other thing is the Metropolitan Board, Transportation Board, we did not meet this month and we will meet in May, hopefully. So, and the Water Resource Board also meets in May, early May. So stay tuned because I'm sure there's some water issues coming down the pike. Thank you.
Counselor Knight.
And my Rio Metro Board did not meet in April as well.
Anyone else? Okay, so let's move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes for April 9th, 2024, regular council meeting, approval of proclamation 24-02 for Arbor Day, approval of resolution 24-18, a budget adjustment resolution, approval of resolution 24-19, lodger's tax disbursement for Corrales Garden Tour. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Does anybody want to pull anything out? Okay. How do you vote, Counselor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
Counselor Murray?
Yes.
All right, new business. Consideration action approval of restaurant. A liquor license for La Rock LLC doing business as Mula's. By the way, it's very good. That's an editorial comment. 4908 Corrales Road, Corrales, New Mexico, 87048. I need a motion to approve the liquor license for La Rock LLC.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Anybody want to make a comment? Counselor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So in the packet, I noticed that the state mentions about the common area and there, it wasn't well defined and I didn't see it in our drawing anywhere. There were letters that were against allowing the liquor to be served in that common area. Where is the common area in that?
It's the flagstone in front of Hanselman's Pottery.
Okay, so it's in front of between the road and
It
the,
doesn't really communicate with the restaurant per se, and that's
they actually removed that.
been removed.
okay,
That, otherwise, it would have been a much bigger, complicated process.
okay.
Plus the fact it probably wouldn't have passed.
Well, I didn't see it in the packet and I just kind of wondered where the
Correct.
hell it was. So anyway,
It's not there.
okay, very good. So the liquor will be dispersed by the restaurant in the
In the
covered area
restaurant or on that back
patio in the
patio.
back? Okay.
Do we have anybody who wants to talk?
We do have, I know, Gabriel and Elizabeth Holguin had signed up, but, they're the restaurant, owners and managers. And then we had Larry Lujan. Did you actually want to speak? No. Larry? Okay. Okay, then unless you have
Gabe,
questions
did you want to
for,
speak at all? Okay, Elizabeth? Okay. Well, like I said, and I think Zach said this too, even though they weren't serving alcohol to you, you really enjoyed their,
That's right.
yeah, their drink.
Strategically not serving alcohol. to them.
And the food has been very good. And the crowds have been, well, of course, it's a new place, so everybody shows up, you know, but it's been a good place. Does anybody have anything else they want to comment on? We ready to vote? Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Excuse me, Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so your license approved. Consideration action approval of ordinance 24-04 bond sale authorization. I need a motion to approve ordinance 24-04 for the bond sale authorization.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Okay, so we have, you got that?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Councilor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. Like most things, I hate seeing blank lines when we get something up before council. And I'm just curious, is the bond rep here tonight?
I didn't see him.
Well, is he online or?
no, I don't see them online
Okay,
either.
so it bugs me to see blank lines on an application that we're going to approve. It's like writing a blank check. I'm just a little bit disturbed by that.
Well, we're not actually writing a blank check because why are all those blind, do you know?
So I believe it's,
Because they
is
still
it-
have to get a credit rating.
is it page 686
Yeah.
in the packet,
I believe
Counselor?
so.
So I,
Do you
I
know-
think this is just how the form of how the bond will be issued, how the paperwork will look once it's issued. And that's why there's blank lines in there.
Yeah.
Because they don't have all of the details yet on that and they can't get that until they get further in the
Well,
process.
I understand that, but there should be a preliminary, you know, they've told us they've got a basic interest rate. We should have that in our packet so
Well-
we have an idea of what the bonds are. gonna
They,
cost.
they don't. They really, are you going to talk?
Well, I would say, Counselor, it's difficult for them to do that because what they put something in there as a space holder could be untrue.
Yeah.
And then they would be in jeopardy for putting something in
Well,
there
I
as
mean, they
untrue.
could just say.
Because the interest rate, as you well know,
Yes.
moves on an hourly basis.
I know, but it just bugs me that we have blank lines and things.
Yeah, but we're approving an ordinance that has nothing, it doesn't really directly impact that. This is just saying we're approving the 200,000 for farmland or open space and 2 million, excuse me, and the 200,000 for fire suppression and for road work. And then they're going to get a credit rating or bond rating on the 26th. They're going to do another review. Then it's going to go in the open market like the 30th or the 1st. So they don't have a lot of the information that's needed to fill in all those lines.
Well, also, maybe the attorney can explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, what does defeasance mean?
What is what?
Defeasance?
You have your phone?
Do I have my what?
Your phone?
Yeah. But I mean, it is, in terms of the village, what does it mean in terms of what we would give up or if we were to default on the loan or?
What, Counselor, where in the ordinance are you referring?
Let me do a search real quick.
It is an action that or process of rendering something null and void.
Yeah, something like that.
It's kind of related, I guess you could say, to malfeasance, but
It's on like, I don't know, of the bond application, I see it's page 5. But probably page 73, I think, in the defeat.
I
Where it
would
says
say that
defeasance or defeasance obligations.
Yes.
I would say that if you have an issue with it, anybody have an issue with this, they don't have to vote for it.
Well, I mean, just clarification's all I'm looking for.
Well, unfortunately, that's as much clarification as we have.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? You guys ready to vote? Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight,
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrook,
Aye.
Counselor Burkett,
Aye.
Counselor Murray.
Aye.
Okay. So we will authorize the bond sale. Consideration action approval of resolution 24-20, approval of the 2024 Antique Tractor Show event application. Need a motion to approve the Antique Tractor Show event application, please.
So moved.
Second.
I have two motions, for and a second.
Everybody wants to
Okay. Anybody want to talk about it?
Yes, just a slight correction, I could on the application. Mr. Alsabrook, provide some clarification. The Tractor Club narrative and application indicates the event will be May 18th. But the application states that the setup and tear down will be June 2nd and 4th. So I don't know whether it has to be corrected or not.
Mayor, the vice president of the Corrales Tractor Club is available in the audience if we might. ask
Okay.
him to come up.
Yes, sir. You want to clarify the dates?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, member of the council. My name is Anthony Chavez. I reside at 613 Perfecto Lopez Road here in Corrales. I'm the vice president of the Corrales Tractor Club. Yes, sir. The Tractor Club, this is going to be our 16th annual tractor show here in Corrales. So we've been holding it every year for 16 years now. We used to hold it on the Cinco de Mayo weekend. There was some changes made so that we could kind of coordinate with some of the other activities and events going on in Corrales and try to make it more of a more inclusive event. And so we moved it to the May 18th. I believe the president actually utilized our old applications and in doing so, but our actual tractor show is going to be on May 18th. Setup would be on the day before, which would be May 17th in the evening, and tear down would be on the evening of May 18th. It would be vacated by the.
We can change those.
Yeah.
You got that.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yep, good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good
Counselor Murray.
luck.
So I was just curious, is the tractor club eligible for the lodger's tax so that they can be reimbursed for any expenses?
So I don't know the answer to that question.
They would have to put in an application to the Lodgers Tax Board, and there's only certain things that can be reimbursed, such as police presence, advertising of the event. And it has, the Lodgers Tax Board has to see that it brings in people from outside the village. So those are the main.
Well, it seems like it would. I mean, that.
Yeah. So next year, if you need some assistance with.
Yeah, but the
costs.
application and approval does take a little bit of time.
It
So you
does,
have
yeah.
to
The
be-
Lodgers Tax Board is now only meeting quarterly. So you would need to submit an application to them probably in April. That's usually when they're, if they continue next year, what they're
Right.
doing this year.
And there are
Thank
funds
you.
there for advertising. If you find that you need that, they do have pretty good amount of money.
Thank you.
And if you
Yes, we
start, if
definitely
you know
will.
in advance, a quarter or so, you can check with the clerk and fill out an application.
Okay. I did have a request from our president, who apologizes that he couldn't be here. He had another engagement. He had to do it to your seat. But we're running into one kind of snafu, I guess, is our facilities as far as porta potties and those types of things. And we didn't know if the porta potties and different things that are already available on the city facility are available, or if the village actually has access to those that we could either offset the cost
So
for cleaning.
the porta potties out there belong to
Corrales
soccer field.
Club.
Yeah. And May 18th, there may be enough time to get some porta potties out there.
That's
from Roadrunner.
I mean, we have our insurance in place and it covers all of the facilities itself.
Make a
with
post-it
those
note.
types of things.
Yeah,
That's why
and-
that request of funds might be a good idea.
Yeah, and you could use that lodgers tax funds for that, but that
Right.
they've already met and they don't meet again until July.
Right.
So,
Right.
um,
I know.
Yeah.
We do have some funds that, like I said, that we could offset some of the costs. We're just trying to find out as far as there's several companies, but there's several things going on too. So they're all like, got them scattered out and we knew that there was some.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Are there-
hoping someday we will have freestanding bathrooms.
Right.
And you
we're
you don't,
working.
And we would definitely want to help
We're
out.
working
whenever
on
we can
that.
with that.
Yeah.
you don't have to use Roadrunner for the porta potties. It's that part doesn't fall under our franchise agreement with them. So if you wanted to use a different company, you can.
Get the
you
best
can use
deal
it
you
direct.
can.
So can we go under your?
You can
No,
get
that's
the best deal
Yeah.
you can.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Oh, which one's first? John?
I think Zach.
Oh, just, Anthony, if you could just remind everyone present what we'll be doing with the charitable donation.
Oh,
this year.
yes. So this year, we have identified 2 charities that we are going to be supporting. So any support that we get from our donations and or sponsorships, we are supporting the Corrales Historical Society, which we feel that that's part of Corrales and part of the Tractor Club and our history. So we are going to make a donation to the Corrales Historical Society and also the Corralitos 4-H Club, which is the youth 4-H club that is here out of the cooperative extension program, the 4-H program. Here is going to be their 2 charities that we have decided to support. In the past, we've supported the Children's Hospital and other things outside of Corrales, and we decided we're trying to bring things back here. And so that's why we're looking at any support within Corrales.
Do you guys ever work with the 4-H club?
We do. We, as much as we can. When we had our vice president who Drew Burr, who was a good supporter of the Tractor Club and still is, and was part of the Corrales 4-H, Corralitos 4-H program. We had more of a tie-in with the Corrales or the Corralitos. And when Nicole was the extension agent, we had a good tie-in. We've kind of, as our administrations have changed and as their leadership has changed, we've kept up with them, but I think it's kind of, we're just still trying to rebuild those relationships.
Good, good. Because we're trying to work with the 4-Hers also. They're going to plant the some of the land on the Hector Gonzalez property and grow some oats.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So if you guys can help them, that'll
definitely.
If it comes up, I mean,
Yes.
you don't have to go, look for work, but if they
No.
ask you,
Yes, definitely.
That's what that's about. Anyone else?
Get started, guys?
Yes, sir.
Well, it comes back to the lodger's tax. Can they submit their receipts for a post payment rather than a prepaid?
No, it has to be approved ahead of time.
Okay.
You guys approved the lodger's tax. It has to come before you. I'm not, this stuff is not always intuitive, the way government works. And so, you have to follow the rules that they
Yeah,
have.
I understand, but I was just thinking, if he submitted his receipts, he's already got expenses, is that something that would be approved and paid for?
Well, I think we can help. We can probably help some. Now, if you get a really good deal on porta potties, that's probably best if you do it, because when we do stuff like that, we have to follow certain guidelines.
Right.
So if you can get a really good deal and do that.
Definitely, we will look into how we can get those. And that's our big expense is pretty much facilities just for the comfort of our constituents.
Hey, you didn't hear me say any of that, right?
Although Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
technically, or technically, as my kids used to say, council has the ultimate control over that fund. So
The lodger's tax fund.
lodger's tax fund. So, I mean, if you read the resolution that we just passed for the garden club, it says that the governing body is deciding to make this payment based on the recommendation of
The lodger's
the
tax
lodger's
committee.
tax board.
So
So-
we can say, if you have receipts that you would like to present to the village government, and we can perhaps put it together in a package and bring it to the council for their purview and post.
Or
post-
even, we could try, well, May 14th. When is the
May
event?
18th.
No, that's cutting it close. I was gonna say, we might be able to bring a resolution to the council on May 14th if you had numbers for what the porta potties are gonna cost you.
We can get that.
Yeah, so as long as council
we'll
votes
try.
and approves
We
it.
will get that.
Make the deal.
Good.
One
Yeah.
last question, Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The art of the deal.
Are we raffling anything?
We're trying to
okay.
decide.
All right.
We lost the opportunity to, our goal is, we had an opportunity to get a tractor that was already fully restored, and we're gonna sell a limited amount of raffle tickets to win a fully restored antique tractor.
Wow.
It got sold before we could actually jump on it. So we were like, okay, so we're trying to regroup and see how we're gonna redo that. But we do have some of our members that do have some fully restored tractors that are very capable of being sold at a reasonable amount. So we're gonna try. We don't know yet.
Well, we'll certainly try to, you give us the information and we'll try to get it to
Thank you, sir.
council here at the next meeting, the May meeting, and
Okay.
see how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you for that
Fair
opportunity.
enough. Thank you.
No, we haven't voted on the motion yet.
I know.
approve.
And we,
Yeah, no, there was a question down.
we're tentatively expecting about 3,000 to 4,000 people. We had
Wow.
about 4,000 last year. We'll probably have more because we're doing better at our.
Sounds like a
advertising.
regional draw to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wait, I guess you can sit back down.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Yeah, thank you very much for all your comments. Okay, so how do you vote, Counselor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Counselor Woolman?
Aye.
Counselor Knight?
Aye.
Counselor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Counselor, you sure you don't want to recuse yourself since you're a member of the tractor club?
Yeah, well, I thought of that, but I only have personal loss. I stand to gain nothing.
Oh,
So
well, it's okay. Okay, Counselor Alsobrook, you're an aye? You're an aye?
sorry. Yes, aye.
You're an aye? Okay, Counselor Burkett?
Aye.
Counselor Murray?
Aye.
Okay, so that passes. All right, consideration action and approval of resolution 24-21, ordering a traffic management study for West Lawn Trotter from Krause Road to Loma Larga. I need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
In a second? Second. I have a second down here for Counselor Miera. Any discussion? Anybody want to say anything? Counselor Knight?
I just want to say, I hope that the people that have brought issues up about this road, whatever the findings are, whether it be a positive thing or a negative to what you want, that you agree with that.
Okay,
Can I ask?
so who do you have to speak?
Mr. Rick
Oh,
Toller?
wait, excuse me.
Oh,
Did you, anybody
sorry.
else have?
Just
Yeah,
one quick
Counselor
question.
Burkett.
I would like at some point, and it may happen during the presentations by people, the difference between, we've talked about traffic engineering, we've talked about a neighborhood traffic management study, if there is tangible differences as far as what those look at versus cost and all the different variables. I would love to know the details of those two things and which one we think is most appropriate. But in the end, I think this is a test balloon that's worth flying just to see what the engineer and or traffic management personnel say. So we can see if this is a problem we can solve via those means or if we have to explore other means.
This was the engineer's suggestion. It's less expensive. It can be done, would you say relatively quickly?
I don't think they said, but I did include the email that I received
Yeah, I
from
saw
that traffic engineer in your packet. And so when I first reached out to him, I said that there was concern over speeding on a particular road and, you know, that council was looking at the possibility of lowering the speed limit and we needed a traffic study to do that. And his response was that he didn't believe we have a speeding problem. It sounds like we have a traffic management issue. And so he suggested that we go that route. And he said that it would look at, find it here just real quickly. The traffic management study collects speed data, crash data, and it will review the corridor for applicable traffic calming measures, including reducing the speed limit.
What does the traffic engineering study do in addition to those things?
Cost a lot
It-
more.
I think it would include looking at how that impacts the other roads that that road intersects with.
Okay.
And because it's looking at a larger area, it does cost more. So an engineering study could cost us up to $60,000, whereas this the neighborhood traffic study, $6,000 to $7,000.
Counselor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Tanya and I had a conversation with the MPO about the Regional Traffic Safety Action Plan. And we do follow in under their plan as it is currently written. So those guidelines also need to be looked at by the engineer as well, because again, Mr. Cog, their emphasis is on safety and trying to reduce anything that will cause issues, you know, with our equestrian pedestrians and our bicyclists. So I think that you need to have them contact Mr. Cog and have him look at the RTSAP and use that maybe as a guideline too. I understand that going with the traffic study, that the possibility is that the traffic or the speed limit could be raised because it's, again, we get back to that 85% percentile based on the data that comes onto the road. So hopefully the calming events that we get out of this study will help lower the incidence of maybe speeding or cause people to slow down a little bit because, you know, folks, I agree. When I first moved to the village, 15 mile an hour, that was the speed limit. And boy, you exceeded that, you got ticketed. And it seems like now we seem to have lost that responsibility. So anyway, but I'd take a look at the RTSAP plan.
Counselor Alsobrook.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, whatever the outcome of this study is and the report they issue, I think is not something that we need to slavishly adhere to, but we need to exercise our own judgment for how it fits our village and our situations. Traffic studies by their nature are designed to move traffic, and they're not called pedestrian studies. They're not called equestrian studies. They're not called bicycle studies. They're called traffic studies. And the traffic engineers are trained to think about those sorts of things. So hopefully this neighborhood approach will involve more than that. But I just want to point out that if we disagree with the report, then we disagree with the report, and that may in fact be an outcome. And then lastly, I just want to point out, if you're going 25 miles an hour for a mile, it takes you 2.5 minutes. And if you slow down to 15 for that mile, it takes you 4 minutes. It's a 1.5 minute difference in your day to go slower. And that's all it takes. You know, listen to your favorite song, yell at the guy screaming at you on the radio, whatever you want to do. But if you slow down, you might notice somebody on the side of the road that you can avoid. So I think we have a sort of knee-jerk reaction to, I don't want to go slow. When in fact, that's actually what most of us need to do in our lives, is go a little bit slower.
Okay. Anybody in the audience want to speak?
Yes, Rick Tuller, you'll have 3 minutes.
So I've had a lot of conversations with the DOT about the traffic engineering study over the course of this education I've been getting. And what the traffic engineering study is required by a state statute that's very poorly written, somewhat obscure. And it just says that if you want to change the speed limit, you have to get a traffic engineering study. Doesn't say what kind, doesn't say, but it says traffic engineering study, not neighborhood management, traffic management. So if you get a neighborhood traffic management study, you will get some recommendations, and they may recommend lowering the speed limit. In fact, they probably will. And then you got to get a traffic engineering study to do it. And we are asking to lower the speed limit on West La Entrada in the hopes that if it's lowered from 25 to 15, that most people will go 25. Right now, it's 25, and a lot of people are going 35, and some people are going 40, and a few 50. And but most people just go 10 miles over the speed limit, who are speeding, up to 10 miles over the speed limit, because they're not paying attention, they're checked out, they're on their phones, they're in a hurry because their kids late for school, whatever. If the speed limit was 15, they would probably be more inclined to go 25. And it's just one piece of a whole array of things that we can do. And we don't need these studies to do all those other things. The only thing we need the study for is to see if, and then the other thing about the traffic engineering study is that it is not binding. So if the traffic engineering study should say, well, on West La Entrada, it should be 35, we don't have to do that. If it says on West La Entrada, it should be 20 or 15, we don't have to do that either. But it would be incumbent on us, because we're not talking about moving traffic more rapidly through the village. We're talking about pedestrian, equestrian, and bicycle safety. It would be incumbent on us to follow the advice of a study that says lower the speed limit, because we know that the issue is safety, and raising the speed limit is not going to make it more safe. It's going to make it more dangerous. So leaving it the same is not going to do anything. Can you interact with me?
No, not during public comment.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Garrett
sir.
Allen?
Councilor Murray.
So Applewood lowered their speed limit down to 20. Was that done through a traffic study?
I don't know.
Yeah,
To
so,
answer your question.
all right, so, and I asked this question the last time when I first introduced the resolution. Our ordinances require a traffic study, but it seems like the attorney at the time says, since we're doing this traffic management, if we think we can lower the speed limit, we should, or we can. So in lieu of this traffic study language. I mean, is that true? If we,
I've not heard what you just, I mean, I don't know
okay,
what you're talking.
so basically, our ordinance says that if we wanted to lower the speed limit or change the speed limit, we have to have a traffic study, as Mr. Toller pointed out. Does this management study work as a substitute to the traffic study in our ordinances? Can we lower the speed limit if that's the recommendation?
If they come up with a recommendation like that, I would say that since you are the council and you want to follow their recommendations that say, based on our evaluation of the neighborhood, that the speed limit should be lowered, then I would assume we would have certain, I would say, documentation that we can lower the speed limit.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to clarify, because our ordinance does say traffic study, and we've had that conversation before, I believe. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilor Austin.
Just one last question from me, Mayor. Will council have an opportunity to meet with the engineer we hire and just discuss with him our concerns and our point of view before he or she performs the study?
Okay.
No, I don't want that. I think he needs to do his job and then he can bring us the information. I mean, what are we gonna tell him?
Okay.
Well, we really want you to lower the speed limit. Well, we really want you to do this. I mean, come on. We
So
can't do
it's,
that.
Councilor Knight, it's the same answer we gave you before. He'll be evaluated. The people will, it's Lee Engineering is the name of the company. And I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Dunn or something, Joe Dunn or.
This email
John.
came from Jonathan Kraus, or Cruz.
Anyway, so the point is, he will be evaluated to get certain points, and we will not be involved in that decision. We will get the report, just like we get any kind of engineering report. Now, if you don't like the report, we don't have to listen to the report, just like Councilor Toller pointed out to us. Excuse me.
Not yet.
Soon to be, but
There you go. Freudian slip.
Mayor.
So
Understood. So this is treated as a procurement.
if they say,
Yes.
gee, we would recommend a traffic study, a real traffic study, really go to it, then that's something we can consider at that time. Okay? Yes, sir, Councilor Wolf.
Mayor, it's somewhat tangential to this conversation. We've talked over the last several months about other traffic calming measures, one of which was striping, and we're trying to find money for that. Could you give us an update of where we are on that? I don't know if Michael is.
Is Michael on?
Michael is on. Michael, would you like to?
Michael, would you like to comment?
Yes, Mayor, Councilors. So right now we're getting quotes from a different contractor for the striping. As soon as I get those, we'll try to put something together. I've also applied for a grant from the local government road fund to try to cover the expenses. So that's kind of where we are there.
Great, thank
So
you.
we're searching.
Yeah, good.
Anyone else?
We do have one more public commenter.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Mr. Garrett Allen. And you will also have 3 minutes.
Let's see. Counselor, have you ever gone to have a haircut? I imagine there are many different styles from which you can choose, but if you don't specify your preferences, you may get something much shorter than you care to wear.
Let's do it in the road. Let's get.
Well, what it has to do with the road is quite simple. There are multiple versions of studies. The engineer needs to know what it is that's being studied. So by speaking with them and giving parameters of what is needing to be observed, they know what is being asked from them. It's very clear to village residents where our resistance is coming from on this issue. It's very difficult, challenging very, it's hard to describe how challenging it is to get an individual to see the need where they have chosen to see no need. But here I am, still trying. I'm not the only one who's been here speaking about concerns over safety, a spooked horse from a car. We had someone here tonight. I was talking about this over a year ago, saying, I hope nobody gets thrown from a horse. How bad is it going to get before we see, earlier tonight, Mayor, you mentioned how local government works. And what I do see is when there is will to get something done, you guys are masters at getting that done. And it is impressive and it's good to see as a village resident. But when there is resistance or a lack of desire to get something done, there's obfuscation and headwinds and speed bumps, but not the right kind. And to be clear, and to be also on the same side as our Honorable Chief Martinez, I'm not asking for speed bumps. We're asking to get the speed bumps that don't exist to be removed so we can get this engineering study done and get something done to address speeding on West La Entrada between Corrales Road and Loma Larga before somebody gets hurt. My 3 young boys would greatly appreciate it. I've been talking to people as they speed by. My kid at bedtime said he's afraid that I'm going to get shot. It's a real issue. I wish you felt the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Nope.
Any more comments? Okay, ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
This is for Resolution 24-21, ordering a traffic management study for West La Entrada from Krause Road to Loma Larga. Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Wellman?
Aye.
And Councilor Muir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So that passes. Now we'll move on to consideration of changes to our ICIP projects list. And it seems like you've been talking a lot tonight, but you're the
know.
one with the color-coded ICIP.
Yes. So Ron and the mayor and I met late last week, I believe, to just kind of discuss some of these projects. And Ron had the idea of color coding the list to kind of help visualize which projects are shovel ready and which ones are perhaps not. So I provided this list to you, and then if there's any other changes or additions to the list, we can add them tonight. And then I will take all of that and create the Survey Monkey list like I did last year, so you can rank the projects. So just as my opinion as the clerk, we may want to rank the projects that are green first, because those are projects that are going to be eligible for capital outlay funds. So some of these projects, like the ones in red, are projects that they still need to be on our ICIP, because sometimes grants will ask you, is this on a plan somewhere, a long-term plan? So it still needs to be on our list to show it's a priority for the village to get this done at some point. But the projects in red are not shovel ready, or the amount of money needed for them is way more than what our legislators can grant us through the capital outlay process. So
Yes, sir. Councilwoman.
So Melanie, are you stressing green or blue?
Green.
Green.
So green is the capital outlay that will go to our senator and representative. The blue projects, so last year, the governor actually had her own ICIP, or I'm sorry, capital outlay portal. So since she has a larger pot of money to draw from, the projects in blue are projects that could possibly go to her as requests. So, and you know, we're at the mercy of what her priorities are during the year.
I'm just looking at number 13 with a $6 million price tag and 50,000 allocated so far, and no, not shovel ready.
Right. Right.
Oh, what are we talking about?
Yeah. The
NBR. NBR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the NBR, this is one of those things that happens. That's why we want I've asked the chief and police chief to sort of take their stuff apart. If they're asking for 200,000 or 500,000, break it down in smaller chunks, because sometimes we'll get a phone call and say, hey, I've got $80,000. You have something for that? Yes. The MBR was, we talked about recycling water, and we thought this would be a good opportunity to look into, maybe get a preliminary engineering report or, feasibility study. And so far that hasn't happened. We're still waiting for our PERs to be done on our sewer line and our fire suppression line from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. But so as you look at these, think about the kinds of things that we really need. I mean, and the fire chief, the public works head, and the police chief are going to, I guess you could say, they're going to rank the ones that they really would like to get, so that we can focus on those. And so we don't have a situation that arises where I get a phone call and they say, well, what's your highest priority? And we have this much money. You say, okay, well, so we'll have roads identified specifically so that roads can be specifically addressed. And I'm sorry, Mel, you have something you want to ask?
Sorry, that's what I have a question about. With number 11, is that dealing with the roads that Michael had identified before? Because it's in blue and it says storm and flood hazard mitigation.
Yeah, that's still just sort of a general thing that, if we got money from the governor for floods, then, some of the projects that Michael has shovel ready could go underneath that. Or, if there's other areas in the village that need attention, that maybe need a design, the way we can write the request for capital outlay funding is, plan, design, construct. And so it could cover any of those.
I just wanted to make sure that was with roads.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when we were doing the bond issue and the guy calls me and says, so you've got down here roads and drainage issues. I said, yes, in the village of Corrales, when we do roads, we have drainage issues. He says, oh, okay. So whenever we do a road, we incorporate that language that we may have to do drainage work to deal with the road issues.
Okay, thank you for.
Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So under the requested additions, I see the Gonzalez parking lot improvement design says it's shovel ready, but I don't see a dollar figure. And I don't think we've even seen the design, have we?
So the Gonzalez property, no, it doesn't have a site development plan either.
So it's not shovel ready then?
Well, but it doesn't need much.
I beg to differ, because I think there's a lot we could do with the Gonzalez property.
We can still do stuff with the Gonzalez property if all we wanted for right now, we need a parking lot. We want a trail. We want to expand the park. That's not a lot. We might put bathrooms between the existing Lawn Trotter Park and the Gonzalez property. But yeah, it doesn't take a lot of work. And a lot of the work that can be done on the Gonzalez property, Michael's crew can do.
Yeah, but I was, when you think about our overall plan for the municipal properties, there's a lot we could do with that particular lot. And that's why I was advocating for an architect, because there's, we moved the growers market over there. Now we've got the advantage of using this parking lot and that property over there, so they can handle the additional traffic that they're not getting down at the parks, Rexon Park.
Well, the idea of the growers market is for the Anderson property, which is just.
Well, but I don't think that should be cast in concrete.
Okay, well, we're not, nothing is in
But
concrete.
I didn't see a dollar figure, so that was one of the questions. I didn't understand why it was considered a shovel ready. And then the old bank renovations in design, but yet we've got $700,000 as a cost.
That came from Ria Cerna from the Main Street, from her report.
Okay.
She said she
That's the
believed.
high end.
Yeah, that was the high end, was 700,000 to completely remodel that. So
So
it's
that's a-
probably not going to be that much,
It's a Cadillac
but
design.
yes, yeah,
If we make it 3 stories.
yeah. Yeah, so no, that came from,
26 feet.
from an expert.
20.
So were you going to do a survey monkey so that they could
Yes.
go in? Okay.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring this back to the council one more time to see if there were any changes to this list that you wanted to request, or any questions. The other thing that I put in your packet is a copy of the worksheet. And so this is a visual representation of what I have to fill out for every single one of these projects. So anything that we can phase is good. So, I'll try and work with the department heads to see if, on some of these projects that are a little more expensive, if we can phase them out and get, 150,000 for something that would cover a partial design or whatever.
Councilor Burkett.
One question, I'm just remembering a conversation I had with my daughter yesterday. What about adding remodels to the locker rooms at the pool area as that something on here? Because that is turning into a pretty nice facility with the exception of you think you're gonna catch something if you're in the locker rooms. So and I think that meets all the qualifications as being something tangible for the village and pretty close to shovel ready.
Well, I think the mayor and I had a conversation too about moving that foyer out and encompassing the existing gym. So now it's all inclusive. So if you need to use the weight room, then you've got an indoor path into the lockers to take your shower. So I think there should be some probably look at that too.
Yes, yes. I agree with your daughter.
Yes.
Okay.
Zach, I agree with your daughter.
Do you? All right, I'll let her know.
But actually, we do have some really nice bathrooms that aren't that far away.
Right.
But are they going to be letting wet kids walk over to them?
I don't
Yeah,
know what.
that's the
Lynn's-
question.
That's a very good question.
He's very territorial.
He-
So
Yeah.
and both are his territory, oddly. It's a bunch.
Especially over his.
Yeah,
He's
he
just
is
really-
oddly possessive of those
He
bathrooms.
is,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he likes to walk around and show them to people.
Well, he designed them. He chose all the colors.
Well, they
And,
look
and,
good.
and now his wife found out that he has a really good eye for design and wants him to remodel their
I mean,
bathroom at
that's
home.
maybe
so.
our problem. If people start using them, he can't make them a tour anymore. So
Okay, I'm not gonna get into the bathrooms.
If that's okay with the rest of the council, well, I'll add that.
We'll
to the-
certainly add it, yeah. Yes, sir, Councilwoman.
Not specific to this list, but Ron, I have a question. We heard again this week, discussion of the $4.5 billion in capital outlay money that's sitting in banks somewhere, as we talked about last week. Can that be reprogrammed? Is that set in stone for projects that were previously,
This is already money that they've set aside for another purpose.
yeah,
Spent money, unspent money.
unspent money?
I would certainly
We'll take some.
yield to the council mirror on this, but when I was with the state, the money was at 2 billion,
It was what?
at 2 billion.
In other words,
Yeah,
it's always
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's up to 4 billion. And the problem, I believe, and Rick, Councilor Merrick could disagree with me here, is that so many monies are put forth in a phased condition.
Yeah.
And so they get phase one and then the project dies.
Yeah.
I can take you to a place down in Cloudcroft where there was a project for piping that was done when I was secretary for $300,000. And I can tell you that that piping's still sitting there.
And the money's still sitting.
That's
in the
right.
council.
For the rest, yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that. In fact, if anything, that would, the question is understandable because we think there's like all that 4 million, 2 million in those days and 4 million now. So there's all that money out there, except that it's divided among 100+ legislators and each one sitting on, X amount of dollars over legislators that aren't even there anymore, but their money is still sitting there. And so that project just doesn't go away till it's taken away. And then when you take it away, it's a big deal. They make a big deal about it pulling, but they always say they're gonna pull your money.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do.
Well, a couple of years ago, we were subject to possibly sweeping money back to the state, and it didn't happen. But I'm wondering,
So
I'm wondering what, if there's anything can be done. I know there's obviously yearly advocates for reform of all the capital outlay money, but that's a lot of money. $4.5 billion, just sitting there. I'm wondering what kind of monthly interest you're getting on that.
None.
None, because they're just sitting in account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
All right, so be on the lookout for an email in the next couple of days from me from SurveyMonkey. And then we'll bring back the ranked projects on May 14th.
Okay, so
Again,
future agendas.
our deadline again. to submit is July?
July 12th.
July
So we
12th.
need to have a resolution approved by council by the second meeting in June.
Real quick question on that one. Would that Survey Monkey also include colored or just?
I don't think I have the ability to color
That's why I
code.
was asking the question.
And so,
We may need to. refer back
yeah,
to this.
yeah.
Thank you.
And if
Mr.
you want
Ross.
a printed copy for any reason, let me know. I'll print off copies. And you all have mail in your mailboxes too that needs to be picked up.
You have quite a bit of mail in your mailboxes, especially in Stewart's box.
Very popular.
Yeah, I get a lot of hate mail.
All I would say is, don't stomp on the brown paper bag that's in there.
Yeah.
So I'll bribe you with color copies if you come and pick up your mail.
Sorry about that.
Stuart, I'm just kidding you.
I'm not.
It's okay. It's safe. It's safe. Okay, announcements and future agenda items. We have a budget work study meeting for May 7th. We're going to try to look into the noise ordinance and have a discussion about that. And also about an on-call architect. Look into that.
I also have several ordinances that will be coming before you. One, I think at the next meeting, we'll have a discussion on the fact that the mandatory fees for the court, the $29 mandatory court fees have been removed by the state legislature. And so we need to remove them from our ordinances that will state that we charge a $29 mandatory court fee. So that will come before you. I don't know that we have to update our court fees list. There was some question about whether or not, because I guess there was one list that included those fees. But then I found a more recent list that does not. So yeah, so all of the court fees are going away and we need to update our ordinances. So that, and that goes into effect July 1st. So we have to change our ordinance by July 1st.
Yes, sir. Councilwoman.
Ron, did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna also add that coming to this body, hopefully in the first part of June, that to be finished by the end of the fiscal year is a complete long-awaited revamp of the personnel policies for the village. That we've literally been working on for 3 years or more.
One other question for something that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Comprehensive plan, any status updates on that or?
May or June?
So last I heard from the comprehensive plan committee, what they're working on now, they've gone through all of the data from the survey. And they had some debate on how they wanted to move forward next. But what they're doing now is they've identified issues from the survey. And then they're coming up with recommendations on how to address those issues. Once they come up with those recommendations, they will hold a series of public hearings to get input from the community. So they said they're looking at probably into the summer before those meetings happen. So I don't think they're making a really big deal about it yet, because I know as soon as people are like, you know, we want to hold these meetings. Yeah, last I heard was kind of maybe end of summertime. But I haven't gotten an update from them in a couple of weeks. So.
Yes, sir. Councilwoman.
Yeah, kind of a similar follow-up. Can you tell me where we are, what the plan is for the Corrales Community Center? We've got the final report. We had the presentation. Where is that? Where does that go from here?
You mean the multi-use center?
The acronym du jour.
Yeah. Not the community
Right
center for
now,
the
it's
commercial
in
kitchen,
limbo.
but
It's in limbo right now.
Just in limbo.
Yes, it's percolating.
Twilight Zone.
We're trying to let people to digest it. It's a lot of money. We don't know for sure that our original thought about where to put it is the best idea. There was a suggestion, much like Stuart Murray said, about using the Gonzalez property. We have a lot of irons in the fire and we're just kind of waiting. So each one of them, we get to whichever one is ready first. We would like to do the growers market. I really think, and they are very eager to go to the Anderson property because it's a wide open, nothing there.
Yep.
And they don't want anything on the property. They want it flat and clean so they have lots of room for parking and for vendors. So that's a good piece of property. Plus, we're doing things to that. And we also want to put the electrical charging stations over there. So, I don't have anything as an update.
And do we know when the, as Councilor Miera has been asking, for the kind of the overall plan for the center of the village?
Don't have that.
Mid-May is
Don't have
what,
it.
mid,
did she
mid-May
say?
is what we were told.
Mid-May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
That,
don't
that's
have
an
that yet.
estimated date, but sometime in the next month.
And I would not, I wouldn't expect some kind of Taj Mahal now. I mean, I'm not sure that they're gonna, yeah.
No?
Well, I'm not sure how much they're gonna help us, but we'll see. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Did I miss the ribbon cutting for the animal building?
No,
That's still in the.
Which
works.
building?
Okay.
animal
The new
services.
animal
No, we haven't done it yet.
Okay.
They're moving in. We did get them a washer and dryer,
Oh, excellent.
$300 for the
Nice.
pair.
Wow.
Tanya is amazing. She's a great negotiator. But animal services is moving in and getting stuff organized. They want everything to look nice before people come in, so they're cleaning and making sure everything looks great. So we're thinking probably beginning of May sometime.
We'll send you an email. Counselor Knight.
Just to note that, I know Al, my husband's on the comprehensive plan. He's been to 2 meetings already this week. And I think everybody on the committee really wants to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because they've been working on it.
Well, if they've been meeting twice a week, they may be on track to finish before
I
then.
think maybe like, to me, the end of the summer sounds like a long time away.
Yeah.
I think we should probably get together.
I'll get with the committee and we'll see if we can get an update for you at the next meeting.
Yeah, they meet every other week or every week, something like that in the conference room.
I believe they are meeting this Thursday in our conference room. So,
And then they have smaller groups.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's part of what they're, how they've been identifying, solutions to some of these issues they've identified.
Okay. Business is done for the evening. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.